Welcome to What's Trending with Tire Review. I'm Maddie Weiner, and today on the podcast, we're joined by John Gamauf, who many of you know as Johnny G. Johnny G is the retired president of Bridgestone-Firestone North American consumer tire company. He joined Firestone in 1969 as a tire buster, rising through the ranks as one of the most dynamic, influential, and respected individuals in the industry. Johnny G was also responsible for creating Bridgestone's affiliated dealer program, which is now a core component of the company. In 2011, Johnny G was inducted into the Tire Industry Hall of Fame and continues his work in the tire industry. Johnny G, welcome to the show.
Well, thanks, Mads, and thanks for making me part of your podcast. I'm very honored.
Well, I'm very excited to talk to you today. And I first wanted to get a feel for your career. I mean, you have such a vast career in the industry. So I know you retired from Bridgestone-Firestone in 2008, but you stayed on the board of directors for 2 more years after that. Is that right?
That's correct. That's correct.
Okay, so I know you keep in touch with a ton of your friends in the industry, but for those listening who may not know you, I'd like to give them a sense of, your time in the industry and, like I said, your career. So you started busting tires for a Firestone store? Is that right? That's how you started your career in the industry?
Well, actually, I was on the south side of Chicago. We're talking May of 1969, so that's 52 years ago, a long time ago. And I walked into a Firestone store with a white shirt and a black set of slacks. And I talked to the store manager for about 30 minutes. And at the end of the interview, he said, "Okay, kid, I tell you what, I got 2 job openings. One's called a manager of passenger tire sales, which was a fancy name for a salesman. And the other one's a tire buster, pays $1.60 an hour. Which one do you want?" Well, if you're not going to pay me more than $1.60 an hour, I might as well get the title. So I became a manager passenger tire sales, or a salesman. And after end of 3 weeks, and I was selling a lot of tires back in those days. Of course, everything was like 4 for $100, But
Wow.
I was selling 20 tires a day on a consistent basis. And at the end of 3 weeks, I looked at my paycheck, Mads, and I saw that I got a raise to $1.80. So I walked up to my manager and I said, "So you're pretty impressed, huh?" He goes, "What are you talking about?" And I said, "Well, you just gave me a 20-cent raise." He said, "Kid," he always called me kid, "look at the employee bulletin board." So I go around where the drinking water fountains are, and there's the employee bulletin board. And it says, effective June 1st, minimum wage goes to $1.80 an hour. So the government gave me my first raise, actually. And in that same breath, Mads, he said, "And guess what, kid? 2 tire busters just quit today. So you're out in the shop and you're going to bust tires for the rest of the summer." And I was like, "Oh my God, this is the worst thing that could happen to me. Here I am, a salesman. I'm selling 20 tires a day for 3 weeks, and now I'm going to be a tire buster." But in essence, Mads, it turned out to be the best thing to help my career. At 17 years old, I realized that there's 2 different cultures in a tire store. There's the showroom culture, and then there's the shop culture. And if you don't understand both of them, then you can't work together as a team. Physically, it's like offense and defense. They have to work together in order to accomplish the goals. And so that was my first lesson in life, and I'm glad I got it at 17 years old.
That's awesome. Very interesting. Yeah, so true. Two different environments. Now, from there, how did you work your way up through the industry?
So I spent the next 15 years or so from 69 until 84 in Chicago. I was wholesaling, I was retailing, I was everything, truck, ag, farm. I was getting a good cultural experience of the whole company and all the different facets of it. And then in 1984, I got a phone call from my boss at the time, Tom Mertz, great guy. And he said, "Hey, we got a job opening up in the Northeast region. And, you're going to go interview for that." And so I did. And it was in Hartford, Connecticut, Mads, Hartford, Connecticut. And that was a whole different experience because I was used to Midwest type of dealers, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, Kentucky, and stuff like that. All of a sudden now, I got the big boys up in the Northeast and in New York, the New Jersey guys, and even the different breed with Maine and New Hampshire. So I initially had 7 states, and then a year later, I got 10 more states. So I had 17 states from Maine all the way down to the Carolinas. And And then in 1986, I was playing golf with Johnny Antonelli, who was a famous baseball player, pitched in the 1954 World Series for the then New York Giants. That's before they became the San Francisco Giants. Anyway, we're at Oak Hills up in Rochester, New York, playing golf. And I'm on the 10th tee, and all of a sudden the microphone says, John Gamauf, you have a phone call. So he said, don't take it. I said, no, I better take it. So it's my boss, Tom Mertz, again. And Tom says, hey, kid. They always called me kid for some reason. I guess I was younger. And said, hey, we need you in here tomorrow. Jim Thomas wants to interview you for the Dayton Tire job. And I go, okay, I didn't even know what Dayton Tire was really about. And so I said, fine. He said, be here by 1 o'clock. So no problem. I got off the phone. I got on the 10th tee and I looked at Johnny Antonelli and I said, oh my God, I don't have a suit for tomorrow. I just came up here to play golf. I didn't, back in those days, if you were in an interview, you had to be full blown in a suit. Right. So he said, don't worry about it. I get tons of suits in my closet. We get done playing golf, we'll go to my house. So we did. We went into his closet, and man, he must have had 200 suits. Okay. And they were just lined up and down the closets. And he's a little bit bigger than me. He was 6'3", about 220, and I was probably 6 foot, about 180. So, but after trying on a bunch of suits, one fit me pretty good. And I walked into Akron, Ohio that next day, and Bill Tierney, who was one of my mentors, looked at me and said, what are you dressing up as a good humor salesman? It was a white suit. I looked like the man from Glad, but the bottom line is I got the job and had a blast heading up Dayton Tire for about 3 years. Getting to meet a whole different set of customers from all over the United States. And then in 1988, I took over the Firestone brand. And that was really my dream come true at 37 years old. Here I am heading up agriculture, farm, off the highway, passenger, light truck, the whole shop. And but that didn't last too long because at the end of 1988, Bridgestone came in and purchased Firestone, and we merged the two companies together, which was, a very interesting part of my career.
So, Johnny G, part of the Bridgestone story for you, at least through my eyes, I know you were an instrumental part in helping Bridgestone get through the Ford Firestone recall of 2001. Can you tell me where you were when you first heard the news that millions of Firestone tires were going to be recalled? I mean, that's huge.
Yeah. So actually, John Lampy, who was my boss, president of the company, he's a big fisherman. He said, hey, we're going to take a bunch of dealers, about 12 dealers, who were private brand customers who I hadn't had any exposure with. And I want you to spend a week with them fishing up in Alaska. So we were 75 miles north of Ketchikan, Alaska, up in a very remote area in early August. And on August 5th, we're coming back with a ton of salmon, a ton of halibut. And our biggest concern, Maddie, was how were we going to get all the fish that we caught from 75 miles north of Ketchikan, Alaska, into Ketchikan, into Seattle, on Southwest Airlines, into Nashville, Tennessee, and get it into our freezers because it was packed on dry ice, get it into our freezers before it would thaw. It wasn't about in 4 days we were going to recall 14.5 million tires. We had no clue. We never saw that coming. Never saw it coming. First thing I did was I picked up the phone and I called, our top 10 customers, our bottom 10 customers, big customers, small customers, got their input, listened to what they had to say, tried to answer their confusion. I attended a lot of meetings, went to Akron to visit with the technical guys. So I would have the facts along with Mario Andretti to share with our customers what to tell them, because we didn't want to do anything but give them good information to arm them.
Yeah, tell me your emotions during that time. It had to be tough.
Well, it was tough because we were getting beat up by the media. And the one thing they don't teach you in college is how to prepare yourself or your company for a recall. So the three of us, Shua Shibashi, who is now our global chairman in Tokyo, John Lampy, our president, and myself all met. And Shu said, I'm going to have to address the legal issues, which were huge. many lawsuits. I'm going to have to do the financial issues to make sure the company stays afloat. And he did an awesome job on that. John Lampy said, hey, we're getting a lot of heat from Congress, from senators and congressmen. I'm going to have to go talk to them. And he did an unbelievable job in front of the Senate. And I said, I got to go visit our customers. I got to go out and go door to door. So I spent the next 18 months on the road visiting customers. That next year, I spent 307 days on the road, just going door to door, working weekends, whatever we had to do to get to many customers as possible. We had meetings in Los Angeles, in the warehouses, in Chicago, but we'd be in Cape Girardeau, Missouri, or Tampa, Florida, or New Jersey, wherever we had to go to get out the facts, to tell our customers what to tell their customers. And that was the key. Nobody knew what was going on because nobody saw it coming. So it was like, we don't know what's going on here. So that's what we tried to do, is give them the facts as we knew it, and give them some ammunition. And the relationships that Mr. Bill Tierney talked to me about early on in my career really paid off, because Madeline, if we didn't have the relationships we had, we wouldn't be in business today. We would have never survived the recall. Our customers all stood up and fought for us. And here we are today, pretty good shape, I think.
That's awesome. That's great. So Johnny G, I know you retired in 2008, but you are still very active in the tire industry. And after your retirement, you have been since. So tell me what's been going on with you since retirement?
When I retired, I stayed on the board of directors for a couple of years, as you had mentioned. But then for 7 years, I really didn't do anything. I mean, I just kind of visited. But all my friends, you got to understand, I have neighbors here who are good people, but all my friends are in the tire business. And so I would constantly stay in touch with them. And that's when I got a phone call in 2015. It was a company called GFK, and I researched them. They're the fourth largest market research company in the world. And if anybody's seen the movie Moneyball, you know, it was with Brad Pitt to talk about how baseball was in the 80s and how it is today. Every major baseball team has 5 or 6 statisticians that study everything from how to get on base percentages to whatever. And if you don't have that, you're not going to succeed in the baseball world. Well, in the tire world, same problem existed. My problem as vice president, president, whatever position I had, was not about selling the tires, was not about marketing the tires, but was about having the tires. In other words, back orders. When we sold a set of 4 Bridgestone duelers to a dealer, we didn't know if it stayed in his warehouse for 6 months or if they went on a car at 2 o'clock that afternoon. So there was the disconnect. So we had to get the Moneyball approach that they used in baseball to get statistics to our customers, give them better information as to what sizes are moving so that they could order the right stuff, and thus allow manufacturers the same ability to see what's happening in the market real time. And so that way they can make better tires. And that's been 6 years now, and it's still going strong. I talked to Neil Portnoy heading up GFK, and they've got many, many points to sell. I think 8,000 or so contributing data every day to give manufacturers updated information and dealers updated information of what's going on in the marketplace. You always want to give back in the industry, and that was a good thing. It wasn't just a job, it was giving back to the tire industry that I knew had a flaw in it. And if we can improve, I think all companies are experiencing this right now, all manufacturers. It's hard to do that supply chain management thing. So if they can get more data, more information, they can make better business decisions.
Yeah, it's a win-win for everyone. Yeah. Very cool. Now, Johnny G, we've been working together more recently on a special project. Do you want to share some of those details?
Sure. I actually was following you on your Tire Review website when I saw that you did a podcast with our now current chairman of CEO, I should say, of the Americas, Paulo Ferrari. But I ended up finding out that you did a podcast, so I watched it. And at the end of the podcast, I just sent you, your email was on the bottom. I sent you a little email and I said, hey, Madeline, my name is Johnny G, and been in the tire business for almost 50 years. And I watched your podcast and I thought you did a great job.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And what did you do then?
Well, I gave you a call, and then yeah, we got to talking, and I told Dean Martin, who's our publisher at Tire Review, that I talked to you, and he said, what do you think about Johnny G doing a podcast? That would be cool." And I said, "Oh yeah." I said, "I don't know if he'd go for it, but he's a great personality, you know." And so yeah, I guess you guys got to talk, and we talked, and here we are.
I was not up for this, to be honest with you initially. I mean, I wasn't even watching podcasts, so I was not involved in it. But what I've learned from this experience is we learned that when we're gone, and someday we will all pass, our memories will then fade. And when the memories fade, then they will disappear. But if I can do a podcast with, let's see, we've done Mario Andretti, we've done Larry Morgan, we've done John Boyle, we've done Paul Swensel. If I can take those podcasts, put them on Babcock's Publications / YouTube under Johnny G and Friends, and our grandkids can then type in our names and watch and see how much fun and excitement we've had over the years, then we can maybe pass a little bit of that on to the next generation. And that's what it's been so much fun doing these podcasts with all these dealers. It's been just a blast. And thank you for the opportunity to do these.
No, for sure. It's been a blast for me too. You know, Johnny G and Friends, as the podcast is called, has been such a learning experience, not only from you, but from the guests too, for me. So I'm excited for people to watch it. And this summer they will be able to see it.
Everybody watch out for Johnny G and Friends on Babcock's Publications / Tire Review. There's my little commercial.
I like it. There you go. Well, Johnny G, since working with you, I know you ask the same question at the end of every podcast to each of your guests. And that question is, what motivates you to be great? So I want to ask that to you and turn the tables a little bit. So for you, what motivates you to be great and really strive for greatness?
Well, as I said to you earlier, Mads, all my friends are in the tire business, tire industry. So after 50 years, you just don't walk away from your friends, even though you're retired. So when I get up every morning, I'm pumped. I'm pumped knowing that I'm going to be talking to my friends, okay? And I still want to be help to the tire industry. I want to help make it better. Before I leave this earth, I want to help the tire industry be better, whether it's doing a tire panel or doing a tire podcast, because this industry has been a big part of my life, and I'm very proud of what this industry has given to me, and I want to turn around and repay it, because it's really made my life so great, and that's the whole reason for that.
That's awesome. Well, Johnny G, again, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I really appreciate it, and I appreciate your time, and we're looking forward to seeing Johnny G launch here this summer. And yeah, thanks so much. I really appreciate it.
Well, thanks for having me on your podcast, What's Treading, and I look forward to us working together, hopefully for many years to come.
Yes, same here. Thank you.